Hi, it's Derpy Moose 99 here with the Factorio Bobs and Angels, episode number 6. In the last episode, we hooked up our second level of science, or Tier 2 science, and we also got our circuit packs, the basic electronic boards going as well too. Now, off camera, I did a little bit of work. I upgraded a bunch of assemblers to assembler 2s. I upgraded a bunch more yellow belts, and I also doubled the carbon or not the carbon, sorry, the, what are these called? Basic electronic component production, so that these two belts going up to the circuit board assembly machines were actually full, so that's running a lot better now. We also had a copper shortage, so I'm just going to map mode here. So I cured that in two ways. I added another line of the crushed stereotype smelting into copper, and then over here in the Givelite area, I mined out the Givelite, and I set up 6 sorting machines, each with their own dedicated crushing machine. That is giving us, and the recipe gives us 2 iron and 1 copper, as well as some slag, which is being processed over here. And then I've set up blast machines with induction machines and cast machines. So the ratio is 1 blast for 2 induction. Each induction does 3 cast. And because there's twice as much iron as copper coming out, the iron array here is double the size of the copper array. Now the production for the copper isn't wonderful, but because I added the second line over on the left, and I just go back down here for a second, and then what I did is I put a 3-to-2 lane balancer here, so you can see the kind of a weak copper run coming over from the Givelite, but 2 strong ones out of the crushed stereotype. I also cleaned up, I had a bit of a mess here for the iron, so I've changed this into a, one extra one there, into a 4-to-4. And I cleaned up room for that by removing a couple of the furnaces. The crushed sapphirite wasn't making it all the way to the end anyway, so I just took out some furnaces that weren't being used. Now that wasn't being used while this was running full and being used. On these two, the sapphirite's making it to the end now, but that's just because the usage isn't there. I also did a little personal cleanup here. I've got 4 warehouses where I'm storing, this is building material, this is components that are ready to be used in construction but aren't necessary right now. This is my personal stuff. I've offloaded a bunch for the moment, and this is just random inserters. Okay, I've also got a box of the older ammunition, and I've got a silo here where we're storing all of our biological stuff for the moment. Now, we also had a small biter incursion while I was doing the off-camera work. So I've set up a little installation here to do the armor piercing ammo, and that's starting to produce. We've got almost 4,000 ammo right now. So when that builds up a bit more, I'll go out and kill some more biters, but maybe off camera. The way I kill biters with the fast movement speed in the long reach is kind of cheaty, so I'm not sure if I really want to show that or not, but maybe we'll see. I've also put in a rail installation here, making a couple of steel boxes full of rails, and another couple of assemblers that are making engine units. That'll run very slowly, so I left a steel box there. I can fill that up, but it'll take quite a while. Okay, the other thing we did is we added a little bit more power, so we now have 4 half rows running here of the Steel Mark IIs, and those are giving us a potential of 144 megawatts. And I added some more to the coal mines. I haven't converted them to Mark IIs yet, but I have changed them out to the yellow belts. And I did add yellow inserters besides the old burner inserters. I'm not sure. I probably can take the burners out, truth be told, but I don't mind having there just for a bit of redundancy in case we have a power interruption. Alright, as far as updates, I think other than just some general assembly machine updates, yellow belt updates, those were the big ones. Our stone to brick assembly line here was causing a few problems, so that's all been upgraded and running smoothly now. I've changed our stone capture box here to a full box just because we use that for, I'm just carrying them up by hand for the railway build up above. And we've got a bunch of bricks. So in my inventory right now are bricks and small electric poles and radar. So what I want to do in this episode, let's go to the map for a second. We're kind of getting to the point where we go from starter base or bootstrap base to a, more building on a larger scale. I don't know if I'd use the term mega base, but a much bigger base. Now, the way I like to start sort of the mid game here is this is before robots, is to use a very large bus. So probably 180 wide with many, many belts and twin lines of big electric poles running down so that as soon as we have robots, we can start putting roboports, down the line kind of thing. So we'll have a full bus and maybe even a train line right in the center for personal transport and transport of other maybe things that are used in a small quantity, that don't really require a belt, but can be transported by train. That's an option anyways. So I think what we'll do, just looking at the map here, I've run around and revealed some more space. So this is our starter base here. So I think what I'll do is I'll run the main bus above the starter base and I'll run it down to the left and eventually roll over the water on the right. Now, where we have to figure out here is where to split. So the way I like to have the bus is the left side of the bus will be all the machines that produce plates and carbon and raw material that are going to run down the bus. And then over wherever we pick for the middle of the bus will be labs and all the assembly machines that'll build things like science packs, our mall circuit packs, solar power units and all that kind of stuff. So just looking at the space we have here, we have quite a bit of space over the left. We have a huge patch of coal, a not bad patch of sapphirite. We have some rubite, some bobmonium. So I'm thinking that I'm going to run the bus just above this patch of stereotype here and run it down to the left. And so we can do all our, sort of our big smelting and stuff over here. We'll use this patch of coal as fuel, and also we'll use it for our big carbon installation. So I think what I'll do here, if I look at my inventory, yeah, I've got all the right things here. Just have to get rid of a little bit of that. I'll just pause, we'll run up, I'll figure out where I want to start, and then I'll show you how I'm going to lay out the bus. Okay, so here I am just above the lab setup here, and what I've done is drawn a line sort of using the cursor just above the stereotype. And I think this is going to give us a little bit of room. We're going to have to do a bunch of landfill to the north and also to the east, but that's okay. So I'm not going to pick the middle part yet, or the division point between the sort of the two types of production, but what I want to do here is let's lay out at least the template here. So I'm going to use belts, keeping in mind we have 201. What I want to do is I want to make this 180 wide, but I'm going to break it down into 3 chunks of 60. So we had 201, so we want this to be, let's see, 141. Okay, so that gives us 60. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a large pole there. Okay. Now what these will be is these will run down the bus and there'll be ports attached to these in the future. Okay, now we've got 141, so we want this to be 81. Okay, and again we'll go, well, let's actually, okay. just have to change this a little bit so we can do our counting here. All right, now I have, 81, that's where we were. Okay, I'm just going to run it out another 60, so until we get to 21. Okay, and that's where we'll have our northern walkway. Okay, and I realized I forgot a little bit of rail, so I'm just going to get rid of this belt, go off camera, and then we'll start showing, I'll try and demonstrate what I'm talking about here with a large bus. Okay, we're back with some rail. I've also run a walkway up here and some medium power poles. Okay, now I'm just going to start laying out sort of a template for what I want to do, and hopefully this will make sense. So around the big power poles, I always leave 3 space. Okay, so I'm thinking that we'll go 4 copper, 4 iron, and then in the middle piece there's a bunch of things like tin where I like 2, carbon where I like 2, steel where I like 2. So we're going to leave 2 belts in between, and then we're going to go 2. Okay, so this is just laying out a template for what the bus would look like. So I think I'll put all the doubles sort of in here. Okay, that gives us enough room there. Now right in the middle one here, maybe right around here, let's just take those guys out and we'll put now this is just leaving a template there, right? So if we have a train stop here, we have enough room to unload here. Okay, so we'll leave ourselves some room for that. And then down on the bottom one here, again, 3 space. And we have a fair amount of room here, so let's give ourselves carbon and tin, maybe a couple doubles, and then the rest of the ones below here. Okay, I also like to have wood down here. So let's maybe, and wood is a 4. And maybe stone and bronze or something like that. Okay, and there's at least 4 things that I want to, 4 liquids that I want to have in the bus, but we could just demark those with, now these can be changed of course, but it just gives us a template for when we're building, like, contextual template. Just get rid of that big crystal rock. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, and I won't bore you by doing this in the video, but if we look at the map here, I can extend this walkway all the way down here and over to the water, same for the one in the north, and then I'll put power poles all along the bottom side. Okay, for example like that, and then there'll be radar placed, every 30 or so poles, so we have visibility. That'll give us, like I say, the context for building, kind of an architecture to the base, and it'll also give us an idea where we need to start building defenses. We've already had 1 small biter attack. I've cleared out a couple of the smaller nests. Now we don't have them on aggressive settings, like there's no expansion and stuff like that, and the bases are slightly smaller than normal, so I'm not completely worried about the biters. But we're going to want to put up walls, maybe take out a few nests and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here, and then I'll go building, and then I'll come back and show you the result. Okay, I'm just going to do some biter clearing here, but I'll show you how cheaty it kind of, well, I say cheaty, but it's part of the game I don't enjoy as much as other parts, is the fighting of biters. And with extended reach, it does give you a huge advantage. I've also got some repair pack 2s, which these worms are pretty nasty. Yeah, get my butt handed to me here. Yeah, that wasn't the most elegant of biter clearings I've ever seen, but there's just an example of how the extended reach and the faster speed help even a bad biter fighter like me. Okay, I'm just going to go back on pause and finish off building the bus outline. Okay, I finished at least the initial layout of our bus architecture here. So on the main map here, if you can see these gray lines, those are our walkways. It's a southern walkway or running path. That's the northern one. If I zoom in a bit here, you see the belt template that we laid out earlier. So I've run the path up a bit to a radar and cleared a couple biters out there and run down here past the stereotype. Now we're going to have to clear, probably off camera, clear a bunch of these biters out of here. Okay, so the next steps here, now that we sort of got a base layout, is what I'm going to do is we can do it with symbols on the map to sort of show you what I'm up to here. So we're going to move the labs up into this kind of area and expand it. And then as far as our science pack goes, we'll start doing the science up in here. And I think obviously military is probably the next one we want to get going. Now down below the southern part of the bus here, we'll work on things like, a beefier circuit pack. We will work on, I guess, my version of a mall. So we'll work on belts, like a more robust belt. We'll work on inserters. We'll probably have some miscellaneous area, and then a much more robust second level circuit pack. And then down here, we'll start working on the third level circuit pack. Okay, so that gives you kind of the idea. And then over on this side, we'll be building things like, bigger greenhouses, more robust steel. We'll build bronze, all kinds of fun stuff. And I've been labeling some of the ores as we go here so we see what we've got. And also looking around to see where we want to build our refinery setup. So if we look down here below the base, we got a nice choke point here we can wall off. And beside that choke, behind the choke point, it's a nice chunk of sapphirite, which we'll need for, for steel and iron and all kinds of stuff. We have a nice chunk of multi-phase oil here. And we have 2 fairly decent patches of natural gas to get us started. So I think the refinery will go somewhere in this area below our spawn point and below the existing starter base. So I think on the next episode, probably what we want to work on, well, I think my 2 priorities for the next episode would be to work on bronze, so we can do red belts and stack inserters and stuff like that. So we'll get some kind of bronze setup going. And I think we also want to get clay bricks going so we can build tier 2 machines. So if I go into our Jivalite setup here with the blast, induction, and cast setup, it's not really producing a ton. But if we look at our tier 2 for, say, ore crushers and for the ore sorting facility, we've got everything we need to upgrade there except for clay bricks. So on the next episode, we will do clay bricks and we will do bronze. And I think I have been Derpy Moose 99, and this was episode 6 of Factorio with Bobs and Angels. Thank you.